Support WrestleTalk!
It's Survivor Series War Games! War Games this weekend, and we are here to predict the card. It is I, Chopper Pete Quinnell, joined by Tempest, who isn't the Jam That Champion anymore. It doesn't tap.
I sit here half the that bitch I used to be.
You're just that.
I didn't even feel like getting the crown or the trophy.
No.
It's just... It's incredibly deflating.
It's also incredibly inconvenient to me, because I wanted to challenge for the championship.
Sorry,
on this
Pete.
show. So you losing the belt has really impacted me more than anything.
Well, you can now be the #1 contender for like 2 months before the next one.
Sounds great. Can't wait for that. If you're new to this channel, please do subscribe and like the video and such. We're going to be having live reactions this weekend. It's going to be these two idiots going to be live reacting to Survivor Series War Games. There'll also be a full podcast review of the show on Sunday as well. So subscribe. Extra content. It's going to be great. So, let's get into the first match that we're going to talk about on this card, which is the Women's War Games match. One of the two on this show, which is Damage Control of Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai, Nikki Cross, and Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, the newly renamed Mia Yim, Michin, Asuka, and a very mysterious, very evil tag team partner.
It's Danhausen?
It's Danhausen, yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy how he like hops around in companies and stuff. Yeah. It's kind of wild that it's going to be Danhausen in this match.
I'm here for it, honestly.
Yeah, be the first intergender War Games match featuring Danhausen. Sounds great. But yes, a mystery partner in this match as well. So, first things first, who do you think this mystery partner is going to be on the babyface side?
I've heard reports of who it could possibly be, but I've been beating the drum that I think Candice LeRae is going to compete in this match. I'm going to go with Candice LeRae. It's
fair.
not worth points, thankfully.
No, it's not.
Otherwise, I might go with a little bit more of a concrete answer. But I think Candice LeRae is someone who has experience in War Games. They obviously have wanted people in these matches who have been in them before. I think helps a little bit. Just in terms of like pacing and making sure that the matches are as good as they can be. And I think Candice LeRae is one of the best women's wrestlers they have on the roster. So I think that checks a lot of boxes. And I love Candice LeRae. I'd like to see her in this match.
I think if we go off the reports, there was a report from Fightful Select that we might be looking at a situation where Becky Lynch might be coming back after she suffered a separated shoulder at SummerSlam in a match against Bianca. But after the match, they kind of aligned and then had the stare down with the newly debuted Damage Control at that show. So her joining Belair in this match would actually make a lot of sense, going against Damage Control as well. There's a lot of like... It would make sense if Becky Lynch came back, but apparently we're going to be finding that out on SmackDown. We're going to find out who the person is, so I'm excited. But regardless of who their mystery partner is, who do you have for this match?
I think it's interesting with this match because if Bayley had won the Women's Championship prior to this, I think you could see it go a different way potentially.
Yep.
I think... This match, and I don't know what the plans are going to be for Bianca Belair moving forward from this, because, I mean, the entire Raw women's roster is kind of involved in this match. So you'd think if they want to set up something with Rhea Ripley as a potential next challenger, maybe you can do something there. Maybe whatever they want to do here is something, and again, it's difficult to theorize because there isn't a pay-per-view between now and the Royal Rumble premium live event. There isn't something that you can book a match that wouldn't be for the Royal Rumble between now and then unless you just do it on a big Raw show, which is entirely possible, but again, difficult to place when things might happen. Either way, I think this could be a very good chance for them to set up the next challenger for Bianca Belair, and thus I think the heel team is winning.
That honestly sounds like a very good booking choice, I think. I mean, they have history of doing that. They had Raquel Gonzalez, now Raquel Rodriguez, pinned... Was it Io?
Shirai.
It was Io, yeah. In War Games to set her up as a future challenger for her and kind of foreshadow that that's the direction they were going. So they could do something similar here with, like, Rhea Ripley gets the win on, like, pins Bianca in the match kind of thing to, like, set that up down the line. I could also see, though, if we do have a returning Becky Lynch, just the feel-good moment of being like, baby faces. Becky Lynch is back. Yay, everybody's happy. Especially in contrast with what might happen in the other War Games match later.
I think that is the biggest factor in all of this for me is I'm basing this prediction off of what I think might happen in the other War Games match. And I think they're going to have the baby faces, spoiler for the predictions, I think the baby faces might win the men's one, and thus the heels can win this one. That's not based on anything, and I could have that totally swapped, totally backwards.
Yeah.
But I don't know. If I'm putting my flag in the ground with a prediction, I think the heels win this one.
I'm going to go with the babyface team on this one.
Ooh,
I
fun.
think Team Bianca's going to win this one. I think primarily for that babyface moment, I could see this match like opening the show. And
I would almost expect it,
And
honestly.
I would think they might want to kick off the show with the big, like, yay moment. And like, hey, we're excited for the rest of the show. Babyfaces have won. So yeah, I think babyface team wins this one.
Very spicy.
Very spicy. The next match after that is going to be AJ Styles versus Finn Balor.
5 years after their match at TLC 2017.
Yeah, which was last minute and awesome. I am quite excited for this match because I'm really hoping that they get the chance to do like the full AJ Styles Finn Balor match that we know they can do. Even like, you know, they're not as young as they used to be, but they're both still
None of us
great
are.
wrestlers.
None of us are.
None of us are. They're still great wrestlers, and they can put on a phenomenal match, pun intended. But I don't know who's winning out of them, because I feel like both of them kind of need a win, you know, at this point. Because Judgment Day, while since Triple H has taken over, they've kind of been built up to be a much more big deal on Raw. They do now feel a little bit cool, whereas they definitely didn't before. There's still elements of them not being quite as winning as they should be. So having like a big win over AJ could totally make sense for a Balor win here, but equally AJ could also do with a big win at the same time.
Yep.
So I don't know who's going to win this one. I think I'm gonna go for Finn Balor because I think Triple H really likes Judgment Day, and I think with the combination of Balor and maybe, I know I predicted the babyfaces, but potentially Ripley getting a big win in War Games, well, it could be a big thing for Judgment Day.
I think you might be right there. I have been burned with Judgment Day predictions so many times.
Yeah.
And the last time I predicted them to win at Crown Jewel, and then they did. So, if we're going on they kind of been trading wins and losses over the last little bit, and then just to make these predictions a little bit spicier, I think I'm going to go with AJ Styles.
It's totally possible.
We got a couple other matches on here that I don't think are going to go either way.
Yep.
And we'll get to that in a moment. But this is one that could legit go either way. I'm totally with you. I think this could be match of the night in terms of like, well, it's difficult to say because the War Games matches are obviously going to have the most plunder, the most excitement involved. But in terms of just a straight wrestling match, I would imagine that this one isn't going to be beat. I think these guys could go out there, tear the house down, similar to how they did 5 years ago. I hope that they do. I think they could both kind of use like a really big, awesome singles win on pay-per-view. Obviously, only one of them is going to do that. I think it's totally possible that Finn Balor could win this match because, again, Judgment Day's kind of been an upward trajectory, but they kind of need a big win to cement that. But at the same time, AJ Styles hasn't done a whole lot this year otherwise. So I'm going to say AJ Styles. Part of that is just to make the predictions a little spicier, but also I could totally see it happening.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Like I'm still sticking with Balor. I think I feel like in my gut that Judgment Day is the priority for Triple H right now. Like AJ's time can come a little bit later, but right now the focus is on building these guys up. My personal hope for this match is that there isn't too many shenanigans with OC and the rest of Judgment Day and stuff like that getting involved. Maybe have a little bit on the outside, but it shouldn't play into the finish, I don't think. I think it'd be really cool if this was like a really clean, awesome singles match with whoever wins coming out looking awesome coming out of it.
My big question about all of this, and again, this would be solved very easily if there was just a world champion on Raw, but this has been the let's build up Judgment Day stretch of time since Triple H took over on Raw. But I don't know what we're building them up for. Like
To be cool.
if there was a possibility of having Finn Balor challenge like Roman Reigns and build him up as a world title challenger and just have like a really good match and then beat him, I would think that's totally acceptable. But there aren't that many shows between now and WrestleMania, and I don't see Finn Balor fitting in with any of those. And also, Roman Reigns' attention has pretty much primarily been on SmackDown, so I'm curious to see what the end game might be for Judgment Day and for Finn Balor in particular. I have no idea what that might be, and if it's just he faces Seth Rollins for the U.S. title, I think that might be a little bit underwhelming. Not because it's Seth Rollins, but just because it's the U.S. title.
Yeah, which unfortunately, despite his best efforts, does not feel like the WWE Championship.
No.
Still very much feels like a mid-card
As much as
belt.
Austin Theory wants to cash in on it, that doesn't make it a world title.
Yeah. The next match on this card is Ronda Rousey versus Shotzi for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I don't think we need to talk about this match for too long.
Why?
Because it kind of came out of nowhere, and they haven't really built up Shotzi all that much. So Ronda's going to retain.
She sure is.
That's my prediction.
Yeah. I think of the matches that we're going to have differing opinions on, this one's not going to be one of them.
This is not one of them. No.
I mean, we saw on SmackDown this week, maybe you didn't because time off in it, but she pinned Shayna Baszler on that show.
Yeah.
And even still, I was like, I know you got to give her wins, but come on now. Why you got to do it this way?
This is why I said when the match got announced of Shotzi versus Shayna, I was like, I'm all for old school Shayna, but I really hope she doesn't just become the person that people beat before they face Ronda.
Yeah.
That would be a bit anticlimactic for her, I think.
Little bit,
Yeah.
especially when you consider that I think at the very least it is a possibility that you could see Shayna Baszler as like a front runner to win the Royal Rumble, face Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania.
That'd be very cool.
I think that would be like a really solid match. It's the only match that I can see for Ronda at WrestleMania unless you just have like Becky Lynch come in and do that singles match, which
Charlotte Flair.
no, I don't want that. Thank you.
Nor do I.
Not putting that energy out there into the universe. But no matter what the outcome of the Royal Rumble and the plans for WrestleMania, I don't think they include Shotzi.
Me neither. Ronda's going to retain. After that, we have the US Championship triple threat match of Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley versus Austin Theory. Now, this comes off the back of, one, Austin Theory failing to cash in Money in the Bank on the US title, then being rehabilitated the week after. Bobby Lashley took a little detour via Brock Lesnar and has now come back to the US title.
It was a filler arc. It was
a filler
Saudi
arc.
Arabia filler arc.
Precisely. And Seth Rollins has just been laughing and having a good time as the US champ.
As he's one to do.
As he's one to do. Who have you got in this match?
I have no idea.
Me neither.
Absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
Because it's the U.S. title. If you want to have a title change on a show like this seems like the match to do it in. I don't like...
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who is the U.S. champion. Maybe in some worldview, you could want to have that title on Seth Rollins just because he is sort of the de facto top star of Raw, and thus having a belt on your top star and having him able to go out there and have open challenge or just regular title matches will help the show in that regard. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter that much. This could be a way to give a little bit back to Austin Theory after they very much didn't want him to be Money in the Bank and have that just looming around and complicating matters otherwise. So, I don't know, Pete. What do you think's going to happen?
I think it would be weird to give the title to Austin Theory after he failed the cash-in, because you could have just had it succeed. And I know you could make the argument of character development. You know, he fails and he gets knocked down to be built up again. But I think him actually losing here does more for the continued downturn of Austin Theory to continue to then be built back up again. You know, like he technically didn't win over Ziggler. Like he did a DQ because he beat him up too much. So I would think that he would continue this character of being like, what's happening with my life? And he continues that by not winning here, to then come back stronger afterwards. And I think Seth Rollins is going to retain. I don't see them putting it back on Bobby either. I think he might be there for a bit of fun distraction, maybe to hit a big move on someone like Seth, and Austin Theory looks like he's going to steal the pin kind of moment. But I think Seth in the end will retain. And I think he might pin Austin Theory to maintain that downward turn for Austin Theory.
I don't think you're necessarily wrong. Like, I think the Seth Rollins prediction is probably the most likely, just because, safest option and all that.
Yeah.
I think, just for the sake of, again, making this spicier, I think I'm going to say Austin Theory will win this. I think it might be a case, because I think you're totally right in terms of the character development and everything. I think what they've done on Raw with him since the cash-in failure was very good, very much needed for him. I've seen a lot of people very accurately talking about how he is a character that was sort of like the embodiment of the Vince McMahon era.
Yeah.
At least that's how it was portrayed on TV. Like Kevin Owens said, all the things that he said very shortly after the regime change and everything. And it's been a process of just knocking Theory down a peg and tearing down this last vestige of the Vince McMahon era to then be built back up. Like Triple H obviously still likes Austin Theory. He's one of his kids from NXT and all that. So I think seeing something that is good and works, I would not be surprised if that was then immediately rewarded with something.
Yeah.
I'm just justifying it in my own mind. I think Austin Theory might be U.S. champion again.
He very well might. But now we have the only other match that's been announced so far for the show, which I assume will be the main event. We have the men's War Games match of the Bloodline, the full Bloodline, versus the Brawling Brutes, Sheamus, Butch, and Ridge Holland, Drew McIntyre, and Kevin Owens.
Yay.
And he was a big question mark for a while because he had the sprained MCL and he was potentially injured and out of the match. But he is in it, and I'm so happy that he's in it because it makes this match infinitely more interesting to me. The dynamic between him and Sami Zayn, I can't wait, and I'm sure both of us, because we're doing the live reactions, as I mentioned, I can't wait for that moment where one of them's in one ring.
Yep.
And one of them's in the other ring, and everyone else is down, and they just turn and they look at each other, and they stand, and the crowd goes, "Oh!" And me and you are going to go, "Oh!
It's happening!
It's happening!" And I just can't wait for that moment in particular. How it actually plays out in the match, how it affects the result of the match, I don't know. This can go so many ways, because you can totally have the Bloodline win here.
Yep.
You can totally just assert their dominance. You can have Sami Zayn beat up Kevin Owens, and that's the thing, like, Kevin Owens, like, hesitates to beat up Sami Zayn, and that costs him. It takes that moment for Roman Reigns to hit him with a spear or something like that, and then he wins. You can have loads of different aspects of so many... This is one of the things we've spoken about with the Bloodline so much, is you have so many characters in this, and so much development in their layers of their characters, that you have so many possible interactions with so many different people, that you can have so many different stories coming out of this. You can have Jey Uso be the one to get the win. You can have Jey Uso be the one to cost them the match. You can have Roman Reigns get the win. You can have Sami Zayn get the win, or be the reason they lose. You can have Kevin Owens get the win, or be the reason they lose. You can have Drew McIntyre get the win as, like, revenge for, like, Clash at the Castle, or be the reason his team lose. So many ways to take this. I have no idea what way they're going to go, but I'm excited for any possibility. I don't know who to predict. I'm lost here. I don't know who to predict. Considering that I predicted the babyface team to win the Women's War Games match, I'm going to say that the Bloodline will win this match here.
Ooh, these are going to be some fun predictions on this night.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to predict that the babyface team are going to win this match.
Okay.
Because I think that you can get a lot more mileage out of this match if either Sami Zayn or Jey Uso loses the match for the team. Doesn't necessarily have to be the one to get pinned or submitted or whatever, but be the reason that they lose. Be the cause for more tension in the weeks to come. Because I think on the other side here, there are 3 totally viable challengers for Roman Reigns over the next few months. I don't know if they're going to do Drew McIntyre again. I would reckon probably not, just because, again, there are only so many matches between now and WrestleMania. But I think we get a Sheamus world title match between now and the Royal Rumble, probably on a big SmackDown. And I think before WrestleMania, we get the Kevin Owens match, possibly at Elimination Chamber, because, again, it's in Montreal and Quebec and all the Montreal Canadiens and all that. I think the babyface team wins this one. I think this is a great way to set up a challenger for Roman Reigns in the immediate future and do enough interplay between different things that you can set up the future challengers between now and Mania. And again, like, with the prediction side of things aside, I'm so excited for this match.
I'm so excited for this match.
I'm so excited for this for all the reasons that you mentioned. Because I can just, I can picture spots in my head, and they don't have to go the way that I'm imagining them. But again, you have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and one in each ring, and they're staring at each other, and the people start to come alive. And Kevin Owens gets super kicked, and Sami Zayn gets bro kicked, or Claymored, or something like that.
Yeah.
And you don't get that moment just yet. Like, there's perfect ways to tease this, even within the match, and not have to have it pay off immediately.
Yep.
There's so many ways that you can do this. Again, there could be stuff between Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. There could be so many different things that you could go with this. Like, there's so many directions. This is the level of unpredictability that I think wrestling fans want. Because, again, it's just there's so many characters. So many characters with layers, and any direction they go will make sense.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm so pumped for this match. And even like the inverse of what I said before of Kevin Owens hesitates to beat up Sami Zayn and that cost the match. Literally do that the other way around.
Yep.
Sami Zayn hesitates to beat up Kevin Owens and that cost the Bloodline the match. Like, literally, he just goes to, like, do a haluva kick, but, like, hesitates, whatever, and then bang, Claymore, you know, or bro kick or something, and that costs him the thing. Like, that... It just works. It just works. I'm so pumped for this match. It should be a great time. And those predictions are very different.
Yeah.
The show should be a hell of a live reaction stream.
We
Shame
have
it's not for
got-
the championship, Tempest.
Sorry.
Would have been real nice.
I had such good brain. I was doing so well.
Until
I didn't.
Yeah, until you didn't.
I mean, what can you do? Jamie Hayter won.
She did, and not many people saw that coming, but I'm so glad she did. So the last bit we got to do before we get out of here is say what our Joker picks are. Considering you're the most recent champion, I guess I'll let you go first.
Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, that checks out. That was going to be mine, because, you know, that's the obvious one. And, that's worth 2 points, worth the title match. There's only one title match. There's one other title match on the show, which will be worth the 4 if I go for it. And considering that you've done a title match, Joker, I kind of have to.
I mean, you don't have to. Our predictions are so different that even if I get that might be, like, my only correct prediction.
Yeah, but fun, though, innit? So I'm going to go with my Joker is Seth Rollins.
Very fun.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Bit of
Very
fun, innit?
Indeed. Yes.
Bit of fun. So that is going to do it for this predictions video. Thank you so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. If you haven't yet, please do subscribe to the channel and like the video. Going to be back with live reactions for Survivor Series War Games with us two. And we're going to be having a full podcast review of the show the day after as well on Sunday. So stay tuned for that. Bonus content. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Pete Tempest. I've been joined by Tempest. And that was predictions. Jam that jam.